Hello, and welcome to Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter, a podcast where Dr. O from All Creatures Every Spine interviews doctors and animal owners that utilize animal chiropractic to get their unique perspectives. Yes, it's really a thing. Dr. O utilizes his 30 years of experience as both an animal chiropractor and veterinarian, and to dig deep into the discussion of complex issues affecting the lives of your animal friends and companions. Join us for this educational episode. Thanks for joining us for this portion of the episode as Dr. O begins to answer the question, what is animal chiropractic? He will look at how the chiropractic adjustment is a valuable and viable treatment for what ails your animals.
So you asked me what animal chiropractic is like, and have you ever been in a room where the lights flicker? You know, flicker on and off, and or the lights get dim. The longer you sit in there, it just seems like they get dim and dimmer and dimmer. And that's kind of like what your animal's nervous system is like if it has a vertebral subluxation. There's interference from the brain to the rest of the body, and from the rest of the body to the brain. And so the power is dimming, or the power is flickering, just like that light switch that's flickering or dimming. And the things that cause those subluxations are the 3 T's. The interference. Their thoughts, traumas, and toxins. And that's what causes interferences in your pet's nervous system that lead to that dimming of the light switch. And so as an animal chiropractor, what I could do is I go in and remove those interferences. I can't remove the thoughts, traumas, and toxins, but I'm going to remove that interference and allow that nervous system to function fully. The lights to brighten up and quit flickering so that everything will be working at full power in your animal. Now, how long will it last? I don't know, because I don't know how many thoughts, trauma, and toxins he's experienced in his life. Some animals hold their adjustments and don't get any new interferences for several days. Some of them for just a couple hours. It just depends on how severe their nervous system is being affected before I do this adjustment. May I go ahead and adjust your animal?
Make sure to visit our website, allcreatureseveryspine.com, where you can subscribe to the show and learn more about getting your animals adjusted. If you are in the Meridian, Texas area, drop in on a Tuesday afternoon to get your animals adjusted. If that isn't possible, schedule a consultation on your animal's health with Dr. O. You can also purchase a copy of Dr. O's book, Yes, It's Really a Thing.
Helping others experience an abundant life with the gift, art, and blessing that is animal chiropractic is our sole mission at All Creatures Every Spine. It's what we do. It's what we love. It truly is what keeps us motivated to help people just like you. I truly love the art of chiropractic. It drives me to provide the highest level of chiropractic possible. And as fellow chiropractic business owners, it's that love that drives us to become better. However, the reality is that sometimes running a successful business can be challenging. Sometimes there can be obstacles to overcome. We all know the old saying, if it were easy, everyone would do it. Well, one thing that is really easy is marketing our clinic with a professional animal chiropractic website by the Chiro Website Pro, Tony Seymour. He's a professional web designer, and his team at Chiro Website Pro take good care of us. They simply make marketing our practice 100% hassle-free. If you're looking for the #1 hands-free way to market your practice, give the Chiro Website Pro a call at 423-779-4630 or simply visit www.chirowebsitepro.com and make sure you ask them about the special ACES discount and let them know Dr. Amy and Dr. O sent you. You'll be glad.
Standard Process is a third-generation family-owned company in rural Wisconsin. You could say we just make nutritional supplements, but we know we're changing lives. We grow ingredients on our own certified organic farm without pesticides or herbicides because we think they should be as close to nature as possible. Quality is our priority. That's why we do everything right here, from hand-picking the seeds to delivery, so you know exactly what goes into every bottle.
Your active dog needs more than water to rehydrate. Replenish Dog Water Supplement is an all-natural powdered water flavoring, prevents dehydration and provides vitamins for your dog. Created by a veterinarian and rooted in science. Give your dog the care they deserve with Replenish.
Join us as Dr. O interviews a certified chiropractor, veterinarian, or an animal owner. These enthusiastic people explain how they utilize animal chiropractic to alter the lives of the animals in their communities.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter. I'm your host, Dr. O. Today, we have with us Dr. Kyle. Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself and your practice.
So I'm a veterinarian in the Iola, College Station, Madisonville kind of area of Texas. I've been doing animal chiropractic now for, I don't know, I guess it's since I first started getting trained, it's probably been about 4 years really now. And so I still do some traditional veterinary medicine, obviously, but I'm working every day moving towards just animal chiropractic. And I do a lot of 4-H, FFA type stuff. I really enjoy working with the kids, really. I mean, because they're very receptive and ready to learn, and it's easier to they're easier to educate and change their minds than old people. So
yeah, sure. So we always start with, what's your biggest animal chiropractic win?
I've got two, if you can have two biggest, right?
As many as you want.
No, I know this time last year we had a show pig for a state fair pig that was, it would have been a year ago last week, probably. They were about 2 weeks out, and the pig just went down really in the back end, very ataxic. So they called me. It was the first time I've ever been to the barn down there, first time I'd ever interacted with those kids and the vets, the ag teacher, down in Tomball. And, we just adjusted that York based on based on a chiropractic exam, adjusted it, and the next morning I got a text with a video from the ag teacher just with the words, wow. And, and it's up walking and doing great. And I adjusted it 2 more times before it went to show. They actually they came through Iola on the way to Dallas about 2 o'clock in the morning. I told them, if y'all come through here, I'll meet you out at the school. And I'm about a mile from Iola High School. And I met them in the parking lot at the school, gave them another adjustment before they headed up to the show. And now I'm not saying they won the show or anything, but for me, just, you got a girl crying because it's her senior year. Here's her last chance at state fair. She's thinking there's no way she's going to get to show this pig. And, just to be getting pictures of her in the show ring up in Dallas, that's a big win, I think. That's a big win. And had another dog, little puppy, actually. And again, this is probably a year ago now. this dog, the lady actually got it because her husband had passed away the year before that, and they had always wanted a male Ridgeback, and so she adopted Bobby Lee, and so there was certainly some attachment to her husband in all this, even though because it was something he had always wanted to do. And little Bobby Lee decided he was going to try to dig out of his kennel one morning, and she found him basically like hip locked, coming through the cage. Like he created a gap to get through the top door on the kennel, and was hung there. And when she brought him to me, I mean, he was unable to use the left rear, minimal use of the right rear. And over the course of, it was about 7 days. We adjusted him 3 times over 7 days, and but he was walking by the end of the week. And now I get on to him when I drive by our house because he chases cars down the road. So, he needs to stop that. But those are 2 that come to mind pretty quick. There's others, obviously, but the ones that ones like that really stick out.
Well, and we think a lot about, when we think about show steers and pigs, and we think about the money involved with that. But it's not just the money; it's the responsibility those kids have.
That's right.
And they develop. Most of them develop a willingness to work and a willingness to do something and see it through to the end. And
that's right.
And when something happens, because if you'd have treated that pig traditionally, a couple shot of steroids, that pig might have been up walking.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, but it wouldn't have been able to show.
No, that's right. Because we're in that 2 week. The closer you get to show, you're running out of options really quick. And you get inside that 2 week. I mean, I'm dealing with it right now. Later today, I'm heading down to Tomball, and I'll be there tomorrow all afternoon. It's the same kind of things. Shows next week, and you got pigs that are having trouble and not moving right, and other ailments, GI ulceration and that kind of stuff. And if you still want to go to show, there's nothing you can give. So you got to look at other methods.
Yeah, drug free. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Which is why it's frustrating that these shows, most of the big shows now, it's in their rules that you cannot bring in, you cannot have chiropractic adjustments going on. You cannot have, laser therapy, magnetic pulse type therapy, those kind of things going on in the barn, and that frustrates me, because we need to be teaching people and teaching these kids that there are other options that can be used right then. But you outlaw those in the rules when that at night somebody's walking in that pen sticking those animals with the shot, most likely, Right. But when you're walking around following a pig through, I've learned how to adjust without looking like I'm adjusting sometimes on some of these pigs at the show,
Yeah. So. Yeah. Well, and here's the thing is that, just with people, if I stumble and get subluxated, I might be sore for a day or 2, but my body will compensate to that subluxation, and I will be fairly normal afterwards. Doesn't mean the subluxation's gone and that I'm 100%, but I've overcome the initial lameness. Well, at this show, these pigs don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
And we're expecting these kids to do, tremendous amounts. And the kids that are usually the ones that are getting beat, unfortunately, are the ones that are trying to follow the rules.
Exactly.
And because they haven't spent enough money, or their parents don't spend enough money to know how to break the rule.
Yeah.
And get by with it.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, so just laughing, my job at the state fair used to be to drug test the pigs and the sheep and the steers. And so after the show, the first 3 pigs, or the first in any of the class top, championship. So the first 3 pigs, goats, sheep, steers, all that would have to come with me to the wash rack. And we would sit there and until they peed, and catch a urine sample, and then we would tell we had a place that only myself and my assistant were the only 2 people allowed in that.
Yeah.
There was actually a trooper outside one year.
Yeah. Yeah. I want, I try to educate the kids on, one, what we're trying to do and what they're trying, because particularly down in Tomball and Katy and Magnolia, some of these, these are city, this is where city is encroaching on rural areas. So a lot of these are really city kids, and they don't have a lot, their parents certainly don't have a lot of exposure to this in their background. And so there's such an educational opportunity regarding their food, regarding all of the source of their food and all of that, and I really try to make them understand too, that look, this one adjustment may do wonders, but let's make this a regular process, a regular thing that we do. And you're going to see, that we don't have to do all this other stuff. And your pig's going to be the one in the barn that's not getting sick like all the rest of them. And, and try to, but, then, they're calling their breeders or they're calling their fitters and, and they're getting told to give all these drugs. And I was actually told, cause I do the drug testing for them down at one of the school shows down there too. But so I know some of the folks at the lab, and I was told that they've been shocked at how often, and this is crazy to me, that within chickens, that methamphetamines are showing up in the chickens and these show chickens. And, that's part of what I think we've got to do on educating them too, is that look, there's no amount of winning that is worth putting methamphetamines into your animal to try to win,
Yeah.
There is nothing that you should feel good about with that.
Right. Yeah, I can't even imagine that. Oh, it's in the water.
Yeah, that's right.
We didn't know it.
Somebody came by and injected my animal.
Yeah. So yes, it's too bad because we, and that's one of the things that we and control. And if you ask Robert Kennedy Jr., what he wants to do about climate change, what his plan for climate change is, he will tell you regenerative agriculture.
Yeah.
And which means basically that we grow our food close to where it's eaten.
Yeah.
And not like there's one particular company in the US that, and I don't know how it's cheaper, but they raise their pigs in the US. They slaughter their pigs in the US. They ship them to China where they're cut up and packaged.
Yeah.
And then they're shipped back.
Yeah.
And they're still raised in the USA. But what happens to
What's
them?
happening? That's right.
Why is it cheaper to ship frozen pig carcasses to China to get them sliced up and packaged to send back here so we can eat it?
Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No, I just, but it's supposed to be cheaper. So,
yeah. Well, I don't know how, but.
Well, the carbon footprint, they're not looking at that. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not looking at a lot of things, but yeah. And then what are they doing to that pork when it's over there that they couldn't do when it was here,
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of these food scares and stuff that we have some of them are scares and some of them are true,
Yeah.
But it's a lot it's all about healthy food more than anything, you know. And,
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, and I just like to say, I think that I feel like that the population in general, but particularly these kids I talk to, you'd be surprised at how much they're starting to care about that kind of stuff, and they're open books as far as
right.
they're ready to hear and learn about alternative things and maybe other ways we should look at look at the health care of our animals and our food supply and all that. And I think that's what I really enjoy. I mean, I know that for these kids, they're wanting to go and they're wanting to win their shows and that kind of stuff too. But I try to, I think I'm amazed at how many of them do really have a grasp of the fact that, they have a food producing animal that they're raising, and that there's a responsibility that comes with that. Not only for the fact that they're producing something that somebody's going to eat down the road, but that also just from a husbandry standpoint, like we're stewards of this earth, we're stewards of these animals. And so they really want to look into and learn what's the best thing I can do for my animal.
And I think that's changing. I mean, I think that's an improvement. We talk about each generation, but I can remember maybe 20 years ago, not right after I got out of that school, but short, and talking to some kids, so where does chicken come from? Well, it comes from Popeyes. And
it's right. It's scary.
Yeah. KFC. And it's like, no, where did they get their chicken from? And it was,
that's right. These urban kids, they're involved in these big schools with these big ag programs that really do a good job of putting a lot of money in their ag programs. I'm telling you, I think you want to change a kid's life, get him signed up to, raise a sheep, raise a goat, raise a calf, raise a pig, raise some chicken. I mean, anything, rabbits, whatever. Like, man, you could shoot. I mean, you can change a life. You can change an impression about the world around you. And I mean, some of those kids, you're saving their life too, to be honest. I mean, because man, you put them on a different trajectory when they've got something to take care of and care for and produce an end product. And boy, I'm just all about the 4-H and the FFA stuff for sure. But I mean, we can change. They're just so impressionable. You can really make a difference with them, and that's why I enjoy it. But I mean, we got to do the same thing with our adult clients too. And I just think it is harder. It's harder.
It is. And you said something. We have always gone to the ag barn once a year. We do our ag students here more often than that, but once a year we go and do everything, no charge. We do and just basically have a learning deal. You were part of that one year. And I think the year you were there, we did a lot of sheep. And last year, the ag teacher had put a different spin on the program, and her goal was to get more people involved in it. And so we still did about 30 to 40 sheep and goats, which was pretty normal. And we did 78 meat rabbits.
Yeah, actually, I was there last year, so I knew we did a bunch of rabbits too. Yeah, I remember doing that.
And just doing all those rabbits, and we just rabbits. And there was a lot more, most of the kids owned 2 or 3 rabbits. And so it was a lot of owners. Whereas with the sheep, it was not uncommon for somebody to have 6 or 7 sheep.
Yeah, that's right.
And we had fewer kids involved, But then we got into the meat rabbits, and it was like, well, here's a pen of 3, and they belong to this kid, and then there's another pen of 3, and and I have one rabbit that the kid's still showing. It's breeding buck, I guess you call it. And we saw him the first time a year ago when you were
Uh-huh.
there, and we're still seeing that rabbit about every month or every 6 weeks probably. He comes in, and of course when we work with the kids, they get a cheaper price, but I don't I won't talk to anybody but the kid,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing I see when we do that, is how these kids grow
Mm-hmm.
and they get more confident.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's theirs. It was his rabbit a year ago. So how's your rabbit? Well, he's not doing very good, is he, Granny? Well, what's he not? Oh, well, and he's always constantly looking for
Yeah.
make sure he's saying the right thing.
Uh-huh.
And now, I ask him a question, how's your rabbit doing? Well, when I do this, he does this, and I think that's chiropractic. So I
Yeah.
need you to see if you can fix it. And I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that short year, he's now, I don't know if he's getting adjusted or not, but still, at least we've
Yeah.
planted the seeds for,
That's right.
different things. So what's animal chiropractic done to your family?
Well, so I'm down to, well, you won't, I should be completely away from the old clinic by now, but I am down to 2 days a week at the old clinic now. And so now, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, depending on, I'm working out of my house. I've actually set up a spot at my house. So my family's definitely seeing me more, no doubt about that. I'm seeing them more. So they're all very happy about that. And, the interesting thing about it is, and it's still a struggle I have, this balance between, being veterinarian versus being veterinary chiropractor. Okay. When I'm always fighting to, drive everything more towards, I want my practice to be chiropractic. And, when chiropractic is the bulk of the day, I'm home earlier. I'm happy, less stressed, and then on the days where I'm running around putting out fires, and I don't have I'm working on people. I haven't gotten moved to just the chiropractic side, and I'm, and they're wanting more veterinary type stuff done. It's just more stressful. I mean, that's just all there is to it. And I tell my wife that all the time. I'm like, man, I don't want to, I've got a bunch of this or that today. I said, I don't want to lose sight of what we're trying to do here. What we're trying to do is develop a veterinary chiropractic practice. That's the focus of this practice, and, so each day I'm working to make sure I don't lose sight of that, because it's very easy to get, and we've sat around the fire there at the house and talked about this many times. And Dr. Amy has, she's pretty bluntly told me several times that I just need to stop doing the veterinary medicine part. But it's almost like it's a black hole, like I think of The Godfather Part 3 when he's like, every time I almost get out, they suck me, or they suck me back in. It's really, I don't know why it's been so difficult for me just to get away from it. And it's almost like at some point you almost just have to make this cold cut. It's like, I don't really practice that way anymore. This is all I'm doing now. And
Well, here's a couple things if I could throw out there. One,
yeah,
let's call it animal chiropractic.
yes, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. Call it animal chiropractic. I do animal chiropractic and a little veterinary medicine.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Because that just gets that word out of there.
That's right.
Get rid of that veterinary word. You are a veterinarian, but you do animal chiropractic.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. And then I know a couple doctors that, and one of them is a referral as a boarded surgeon, but don't do will not do anything until after the third adjustment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We do that here.
Yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing is I brought a bunch of tools and toys with me from previous clinic to here. I've got an ozone machine. I've got a cold laser. I've got, some other stuff, and people are always wanting me to use all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't do anything until after the third adjustment.
Yeah.
And we do send, like my cold laser, I hardly ever point it at an animal. Now, I might use it on me, or I might rent it to somebody to use on their animal.
Yeah.
We had a show steer recently that we rented it for a week, she took it to a show with her and used it on a breeding heifer that had some issues, and definitely got them through the show, which we wouldn't have been able to do because it was too short a time.
Yeah.
With the cold laser, they were able to use it, get through the show, and so we did that. Dr. Amy hasn't done acupuncture on an animal for over 3 years. We were figuring it out.
Yeah.
Because we just adjust everybody first.
Yeah.
And they get better. Now it might be 3 days, it might be whatever. But we do that. So that might help. Just say, hey, I would love to do XYZ for your animal.
Yeah.
But we only do that now after 3 adjustments.
Yeah.
And so we had somebody that had a 13-year-old lab that wasn't doing very good, and it had, all these issues, and I'd never seen the dog before, and they wanted to know if we would put it to sleep. And I hate that. And so we basically said, well, our protocol is we do nothing until we do 3 adjustments.
Yeah.
And so, okay, well, we'll be in on Tuesday, but if the first one doesn't look better, then you're going to put him to sleep. And I'm like, okay, but I don't even know that I have the stuff.
Yeah.
So, but we got a phone call, or we got a text message on Tuesday morning that said, hey, we decided to euthanize the dog over the weekend, and we went to the emergency clinic. Well, good. I mean, if the dog was that bad, it probably shouldn't have waited until Tuesday anyway. And I don't know you, and if I charge you for an emergency euthanasia, you're never going to come see me with your new dog.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he's too expensive.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people that don't like to admit it, but they switch vets after a euthanasia.
Yeah.
Not because they had any problem with the veterinarian or the staff or the clinic or anything. It's just that, I can't go in that building because that's where Fluffy got put to sleep. And
I agree. I think that happens more than we think.
And that's not the kind of clientele I want. That's not the kind of memories that we want to build in an animal chiropractic clinic. We want, wow. We want, wow.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, now, have I done some at-home euthanasias before with some good chiropractic clients? You bet.
Yeah.
But
there's been a relationship and a history. Yeah.
And it's been for a long time. I mean, I spent 2 hours at a lady's house euthanizing her, ex-national champion agility dog that we had adjusted once a week during his competitive days, right? And she said, would you come out to the house and do it? And I said, yeah. But man, that was, talk about being tired.
Yeah.
That wiped me out emotionally and physically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like, boom. Now, And we did it at her house. I never adjusted dogs at her house. And so she never missed an appointment.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that that's another thing that I'm trying to kind of work through too, is also making, we were talking earlier about saying that, look, I do animal chiropractic and I am a veterinarian too, but our focus is animal chiropractic. That's our starting point. It's interesting you bring this up, and I know that's one thing I'm really working on, is trying to really get that out there. Before we got on the thing here, I got a text. A lady listed out all these problems her horse has. It was diagnosed at a referral facility, equine facility here in the area, and she heard I was a new local vet in the area, and would I be able to help her so that she can get refills on her meds and that kind of stuff easier? And I'd already thought before we even started this conversation that, I think my response to her is immediately going to be, well, yeah, I want you to understand my focus is in animal chiropractic. That is my focus, and that will always be my focus. I'm not saying I can't help you with this horse. I just want you to understand I'm going to come at it to begin with from a chiropractic standpoint. And it's got chronic, respiratory issues, heave, that kind of stuff. But I've got to make sure these new clients that are coming to me understand from the get-go, because if they come to me and from the get-go, my first experience with them is, well, I approach this from a veterinary standpoint. Well, that's what they expect going forward. Right. If they understand from the get-go that I'm an animal chiropractor first, veterinarian second, then it changes their expectations going forward. And I think it even helps them to understand that, look, I'm here and we may have to do something more veterinary on this appointment, but we're going to adjust while we're here. And, there was a client that had called you from down in the Houston area, and you had referred her to me. It was a dog that was down in it. It was a pit bull that was down in its back end, and this is a good example of where when, you had me call her because I'm a lot closer to her, and she was looking for, the dog had been immobile in its back end since like last November. And I started working on it I planned to start working on it. This would have been back in May, maybe in June, something like that. I can't remember when you called me about it, but so it had been immobile in the back end for months at that point. But with her, the appointments, like the first few calls were all about chiropractic. I mean, that's why they contacted you. Right. And then you sent them to me. But it's like the moment that she found out that I was a veterinarian, she could not let our relationship get beyond the veterinary medical standpoint. Every time I was there, we need to adjust. Let's adjust. Let's do that. Well, I don't know. What do you think? I'd rather do x-rays first. And I'm like, okay, well, you've called me down here. I've just spent 2 hours, down here, not including my travel time. And she would not let me adjust. So she hauled it all the way to College Station because I was still at the clinic there I'm still at the clinic Monday and Tuesdays. We x-rayed there. I said, all right, we've got our x-rays. I'm showing you the x-rays. Now let's adjust these areas. Still would not let me adjust. She said, well, I'd feel more comfortable if you adjusted in my house, because if you adjust here and then the car ride home, what if it doesn't all hold or whatever? And so we set up a time and I get there. She still wouldn't let me adjust. She finally let me adjust one time, but she'd never let me adjust it again. And so now I'm making these trips down there, planning to adjust, planning to do those animal chiropractic, and she just couldn't get past, well, I want, what do you, I think it's got a UTI. What do you want to do about it? And I finally had to just move on,
Yeah.
Because one, we weren't doing anything for the dog, of benefit. And to be honest, it becomes a waste of my time,
Right.
Because I can't charge what I need to be charging to be going down there. And she came to my house a few times too. And it just once she knew I was a veterinarian, she just couldn't So it's a lesson I learned from that there, that, you know, you've got to, if they contact you about animal chiropractic, you got to be very upfront about how we're approaching the case.
You bet. Yeah, we don't adjust 3 visits. You want x-rays? 3 visits. So like today, I saw a dog. It was it's actually the 4th visit, but the first visit didn't count. And I told him that because it was on so many drugs when it came in, it was ridiculous. There's no way. But we adjusted anyway, and they said, get him off the drugs. So we adjusted him, and they got him off the drugs, and then we came in. So today was our 4th visit. Well, they called after the 2nd visit. You know, he's not doing very good. We'd sure like some x-rays. What do you want to get x-rays of? And I said, well, if we were to get x-rays, we'd want lower neck and the base of the skull. And she goes, okay, well, so yesterday she was supposed to come in for a 3rd visit. And excuses why she couldn't make it, blah, blah, blah. But I'm getting my x-rays taken tomorrow. And I said, well, just after you get the x-rays taken, come on in and we'll do it. We'll do your 3rd adjustment and see and go from there. And then we'll have the x-rays to look at. Well, so they came in and I didn't have the x-rays yet, and I didn't have the x-rays, and I know they sent them to you. And I said, well, yeah, just sometimes they either do it immediately or tomorrow. And he goes, what? Well, she said she was going to do it. And I'm like, no, she hasn't done it yet. And I know that clinic, and they either do it immediately or tomorrow. It's not like, you know. And so anyway, we went ahead and adjusted it. Well, how's the dog doing? You know, he started barking again finally. He's crawling around. He's got his favorite chair. And this morning, the wife said he crawled over there, put the front end up in the favorite chair, right? And then kind of looked around like, hey, can you help me with my back end a little bit? And so she helped him get in his favorite chair. So he's getting better. He's starting to move around a little bit. He's got some deep recognition of pain finally. He didn't have that for a while, you know? So he's starting to get better, which I said it'd take at least 3 visits. But we still have those x-rays that they had to have. And I'm like, okay, well, I went ahead and adjusted without the x-rays and told them where I adjusted, and then we'll look at the x-rays and see if there's anywhere else I should be adjusting. But, you know, it's a lot of times people rush things. Yeah. So,
that's another thing I've learned, that you've got to talk, like, I try to talk to people about that animal chiropractic or human chiropractic. There is a certain level of, it's about patience and time and letting the body do what it's going to do. And that's why we're addicted to medicines, and why we are addicted through our animals to medicines, because, you know, we don't think about long term when it comes to the medicines. We just know, well, if I give this and it's hiding the pain, they're walking around better. But it doesn't mean we've corrected anything. Right. You know, and who knows what we might cause. And so that's another part of our education process too, is getting people to understand, like, we got to give it time. Like and I tell them sometimes we've got the immediate response. It can happen. There is no doubt. There's no doubt.
Instant gratification, right? Boom, you adjust them and they walk out. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
The next day.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like the guy, I was working on his cows this morning, and we did adjust. So he's got a bunch of embryo recipient cows, and these are all, they're not the Wagyu, so there's 2 different types of Wagyu. These are the red Wagyu, and they've got a different name, but they're these heavily marbled breeds. And so he's got a bunch of ET cows, the recip cows, sorry, and then he's got some of his Wagyu that he's taken to show. And of course, I'm doing traditional working cow type stuff, but we adjusted. I got him to adjust all his show cows, at least. We adjusted them. And he's just amazed. He's like, it's not sway backed, or it's not, oh, look at that. I mean, he was amazed. I mean, he was absolutely thrilled, and I told him, and I said, and that's great. I'm telling you, this stuff works. That's what I told him. I said, now you got to understand that they've never been adjusted. So this may not, we don't know how long this will hold. They may hold a long time. These are young these are younger cattle, but you got to understand, we may, let's come back and let's keep adjusting them and have them ready to go to show. And then through that process, I want to educate, hey, when you get ready to take these recips in, like, we should adjust them, before you take them in to put these, who knows how expensive the embryos you're putting in, these cows. Let's adjust them too, before you haul them off to get embryos put in them.
Yeah.
And
then when they get back, haul them again.
That's right.
Then, because he's probably hauling them somewhere.
Yeah.
They're putting an egg in, and then they're bringing them back and then waiting for a month before they preg check them.
Yeah.
And, and for those of you that aren't listening, why would that be good? The uterus is a muscle, and muscle tone, or the healthiness of a uterus, of any muscle tone, is determined by nerve flow, and nerve is determined by the central nervous system, chiropractic, and the nervous system being unimpinged by restrictions, which is what chiropractors look for.
That's right.
I mean, yeah. So how long did it take you to pay off your animal chiropractic tuition?
I don't know. I mean, I've been doing it as I go. So, I mean, I would say within, a lot of it was done before I even finished the class, before I even took my test, I think. Because I can't remember if I'm a year or 2 years. No, I'm a year past when I took my test. So, but yeah, I was just paying as we went on it. So, yeah.
Yeah, you were making the money as you went, because when did you start adjusting?
Oh, yeah. So, I went home from the first lab, however many years ago that was. So it would have been, I talked to y'all at Swivs in when was the last time y'all set up a booth at Swivs? I think that's when it's been a while, right?
Was it in Fort Worth, or was it in?
I think I feel like we were in San Antonio.
Okay.
But I remember I talked to y'all, and then I signed up for the class in November after that. And then, I would have taken my first lab that spring. And
that would have been pre-COVID.
I think that's right. Is that, yeah, I think that's right. And then, so I went home and adjusted immediately after that. I was adjusting immediately after that.
Yeah. Cool. And then you don't have to go right through. You learn enough that first module to really get a good start on your practice.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, cool. So what would you tell veterinarians that aren't doing chiropractic about referring to an animal chiropractor?
That's interesting that you asked that question, because we've got all this stuff going on in the state right now. So when I got the questionnaire from who regarding that, my big thing was I told them that the main thing is if you're gonna refer for chiropractic care, you have a client coming to you asking for chiropractic care. Hopefully, over time, we can educate veterinarians to not just scoff, first of all, at that idea. Mm-hmm. And then their approach B is, yeah, I think that's a great idea, but let's make sure that you're going to a certified animal chiropractor that's taken classes and has gone through the education that's involved and taken the tests, because that way we know they've met a standard, and that's what we need our, we need our veterinarians to understand that the role of chiropractic and why it's important, and then why it's important that they're going to certified animal chiropractors. That's the most important thing when you're in. I think that, but it's twofold. I really do think. I mean, because we got to educate the veterinarian. I mean, and I deal with it at my old practice that I've been at. I mean, I was starting to build some chiropractic practice through the clinic, and then once I stepped down as chief of staff, about 6 months ago. I mean, they don't. I have never been able to get them to understand it and to accept what it can do, even if they see the product, even if they see the fact that people are coming back wanting adjustments again because their animals are doing better. In fact, now we're to the point that, I mean, the corporation I sold to, they've pretty much made it where I cannot do chiropractic through the clinic at all. So all those clients, they're losing a revenue source, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that where I could come in and be providing this to these animals, and they're these corporations, they're all about. I mean, they run the prices up so high that they have very low. They struggle to get people in the door, and here is something that, we don't have to charge $400 like we do for an x-ray,
Right.
and it's such a great modality to have in your practice. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of going off course, but
No, not really.
that's the main thing, is letting them know you need to know who it is that you're sending your people to, or if they're bringing you a referral or the thing is, if they're not a certified animal chiropractor, they're not going to bring a referral sheet to the clinic.
Right.
So that's the other thing veterinarians need to know, that if you're going to ask, if a client's asking you, or the client's saying they're wanting this, or that they've talked to this person about it, well, then you need to ask questions. Well, who is it that's doing it? I'm happy they should have a form if they're not a veterinarian, obviously, and because that's the biggest issue I see is every time I tell somebody out here in rural Iola, when I tell somebody that I practice animal chiropractic, their first thing is to tell me 3 other people they know of around here that do it.
Yeah.
And I know they're not. I mean, one of them's just a kid that some old man tells him what to do and he does it. And I know the old man is not a veterinarian or a chiropractor. And
yeah.
And then there's a technician at a local equine referral place that she says she does it. Well, I know she's not doing chiropractic. That's the biggest concern I see, is the amount of lay people that say that's what they do. But that's very concerning to me. But it's also concerning to me that you have people, even veterinarians, who say they do it, but they've never actually been trained in it either. I think that's a concern as well.
Yeah, I agree. And like Dr. Amy deals a lot more with the calls than I do, but we called somebody up and they were like talking to him, and one of your clients and needs a referral, and and so would you do it? And and they're like, no, we won't refer to a chiropractor, and blah. And they talk for a while, and she goes, well, I would refer to you, and you could adjust this client's dogs. And Dr. Amy says, well, basically, they're on their way, because if I didn't call them back within 20 minutes after first talking to them, they were going to come down because they want their dog adjusted. So they're going to come down here. They're going to get their dog adjusted. And then I'm going to do the referral to go back to the chiropractor that they wanted to go to in the first place, so that they don't have to drive 2.5 hours. And then they ask us if I knew a veterinarian in their area that was more pro chiropractic.
Yeah.
than you, because I don't need your referral to adjust because I am a veterinarian.
Yeah.
And you lost a client because of your status on chiropractic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're going to tell their friends.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many clients you're going to lose, but these people can drive 2.5 hours to see us. We're going to establish a veterinary client-patient relationship as required by the Texas Veterinary Practice Act. And then we're going to refer to a certified chiropractor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, we didn't know that. Well, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't know that.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, one of the problems. Like you said, we're having some issues in the state of Texas with referrals. And I think we're going to talk about that some more, you and I, at a later date.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely some things going on that we need to address. So anyway, so once again, if I'm near College Station, Iola, Mansfield, how do I get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's Dr. B at Bostick AHC, so BostickAnimalHealthcare.com. And then my phone number is 979-200-1711. And so you can call, text. Most people text me, to be honest. I think that's becoming people's preferred mode of communication now. But and you can also email me at drb@bostickahc.com.
Cool. All right. Everybody, thanks for listening once again. Remember, the body heals one way and one way only, above, down, inside out. Keep those atlases adjusted and everything will be good.
If you are or know a veterinarian or chiropractor, or a student of either of these professions, visit our website, Animal Chiropractic Education Source, to see how to become certified in animal chiropractic. Start improving the lives of the animals around you. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the ACES channels so that you never miss an exciting episode.